Brief History of Indian Late Modern and Contemporary Periods, 1857 to 1947.
On May 10, 1857, a sepoy mutiny in Meerut ignites a widespread rebellion against the East India Company. Insurgent forces capture Delhi, restoring the 81-year-old Mughal ruler as the symbolic emperor of Hindustan. The uprising quickly escalates into a civilian rebellion across central India and the northwestern provinces. Following the suppression of the revolt, the British employ severe reprisals, including public hangings and village destruction. The emperor is captured, tried for treason, and exiled to Rangoon, ending the 3-century-old Mughal dynasty. Parliament passes the Government of India Act of 1858, formally ending the rule of the East India Company. To facilitate the company's liquidation, shareholders are compensated with a payment of £1.5 million. The Act establishes a cabinet-level Secretary of State in London, directly responsible to Parliament. The Council of India is created to advise the Secretary, consisting of 15 experienced members. The Governor-General is designated as the Viceroy, with Lord Canning serving as the first direct representative of the Crown. Queen Victoria's proclamation of 1858 promises a policy of non-interference in religious practices and equal opportunity. The doctrine of lapse is abolished, allowing princely states to retain internal autonomy under British paramountcy. The Peel Commission of 1858 seeks to secure the state against future mutinies by restructuring the army. The commission blames the revolt on the high caste homogeneity of the Old Bengal Army. Recruitment shifts toward the martial races, Sikhs, Gurkhas, and Pathans, who help suppress the rebellion. Regiments are segregated into communal subcomponents to foster regional rivalries and prevent a unified identity. Critical arms like the artillery and signals branches are reserved exclusively for European troops. Though the Indian civil service is open to Indians, exams are held only in Britain, effectively excluding most. The 1861 Councils Act grants the Viceroy absolute veto power over bills relating to military and foreign affairs. Queen Victoria is declared the Empress of India, projecting the authority of the Crown over the subcontinent. During the Great Famine, Lord Lytton refuses to intervene in grain markets, viewing the crisis as divine will. Lord Ripon's Ilbert Bill of 1883 seeks to allow Indian magistrates to try European subjects. The bill faces intense resistance from Anglo-Indian communities, who threaten the administration. Political pressure forces a compromise that dilutes the bill, reinforcing the racial boundaries of the judicial system. The 19th century witnesses socio-religious movements that serve as a prelude to national consciousness. Founded in 1828, the Brahmo Samaj denounces idolatry and campaigns against the practice of sati. The Prarthana Samaj in 1867 focuses on female education and encouraging widow remarriage. The Arya Samaj advocates for a return to the Vedas while opposing child marriage and the caste system. The Satya Shodhak Samaj promotes education for Dalits and critiques Brahminical social hegemony. Sir Syed Ahmed Khan promotes modern scientific education among Muslims through the Aligarh movement. The Ramakrishna Mission utilizes Vedantic philosophy to promote selfless service and philanthropic work. The Deoband movement focuses on preserving traditional Islamic education and resisting Western cultural influence. Internal divisions lead to a major split in the Brahmo Samaj in 1866 over issues of universalism. In Kerala, the SNDP movement arises to contest caste hierarchies under the motto, "One caste, one religion, one God." The self-respect movement rejects Brahminical religion and promotes rationalism in southern India. Diverse regional efforts are coordinated into a national campaign for social reform. In December 1885, the Indian National Congress is founded as an elite forum for middle-class professionals. Organized by a retired British civil servant, the Congress aims to discuss common grievances with the administration. The moderate leaders believe the British administration is fundamentally capable of justice and incremental reform. They rely on constitutional methods, petitions, prayers, and protests, to lobby for Indian representation. Nauroji constructs a radical economic critique, termed The Drain of Wealth, in his 1867 paper. He argues British policies siphon off India's economic surplus, preventing internal capital formation and industrialization. The home charges, expenditures incurred in Britain but paid by Indian revenue, are a primary channel of the drain. Indian taxes are used to pay guaranteed interest to British railway companies and interest on public debt. The council bill system facilitates the absorption of India's trade surplus to cover colonial administrative costs. An internal drain occurs as regressive land revenues are extracted and spent on military infrastructure. A psychological drain stems from the exclusion of Indians from senior leadership, preventing local expertise. By 1901, the moderates turned the empire's own data against it, challenging the moral legitimacy of British rule. Viceroy Lord Curzon's administration prioritizes bureaucratic efficiency and imperial authority over local political aspirations. Curzon enacts the Official Secrets Act of 1904 to restrict press freedom under the pretext of national security. The Indian Universities Act of 1904 is denounced by nationalists as an attempt to suppress student political activism. In 1905, Curzon partitions Bengal, citing administrative efficiency but aiming to weaken the nationalist Bengali elite. The partition sparks the Swadeshi and boycott movements, advocating for local goods and rejecting British imports. The movement promotes self-reliance, Atma Shakti, through indigenous industries and vernacular schools. In 1906, the All India Muslim League is founded to protect Muslim interests and counter Congress nationalism. Ideological divides over the boycott lead to the Surat split, fracturing the Congress Party. The extremist trio, Lal, Bal, and Pal, advocates for nationwide boycott and complete self-rule, Swaraj. The colonial government suppresses the extremists through arrests, causing the Swadeshi movement to decline by 1908. The Minto Morley reforms of 1909 introduced separate electorates, institutionalizing communal divisions in the electoral system. In 1911, the partition of Bengal is formally abrogated at the Delhi Durbar, reunifying the province.
Gandhi's return in 1915 shifts the struggle from constitutional lobbying toward nonviolent mass resistance. Gandhi developed his philosophy of satyagraha, truth force, while opposing discriminatory laws in South Africa. The 1917 Champaran Satyagraha secures a reduction in illegal extractions for tenant farmers forced to grow indigo. In 1918, he supports peasant demands for revenue suspension following a crop failure in Kedah. Gandhi allies with the Khilafat campaign to form a broad Hindu-Muslim front for the non-cooperation movement. The movement urges Indians to resign from government services, boycott British courts, and reject foreign goods. In 1921, Gandhi adopts a simple loincloth to address concerns that hand-spun khadi was too expensive for the poor. In 1922, the movement is suspended after protesters set a police station on fire, violating the principle of nonviolence. In 1930, Gandhi launches the civil disobedience movement with the Salt March to the coast. By manufacturing salt, Gandhi and his followers defy the British monopoly on this essential commodity. This act of defiance leads to the arrest of nearly 60,000 people across the country. The campaign demonstrates the potential of nonviolent mobilization to challenge colonial authority on a mass scale.
Parallel to Gandhi, revolutionary nationalists seek to overthrow British rule through direct armed action. In 1928, the Hindustan Socialist Republican Association, HSRA, is formed to dismantle colonial and feudal orders. The execution of Bhagat Singh and his comrades in 1931 elevates them into national symbols of resistance. In 1932, the Communal Award extends separate electorates to minority groups, including the depressed classes. Ambedkar supports separate electorates as necessary to prevent upper caste political domination of Dalit communities. Gandhi opposes the award, viewing it as a device to permanently divide the Hindu community, and begins a fast. The Pune Pact of 1932 discards separate electorates in favor of joint electorates with reserved seats. The pact nearly doubles the seats for Dalit communities in provincial legislatures compared to the communal award. The Act of 1935 proposes a federal structure and grants provincial autonomy, the most comprehensive reform yet. The proposed All India Federation fails as princely states fear losing their internal sovereignty. Implementation of provincial autonomy leads to elections where the Congress wins majorities in 8 provinces. In 1939, the Viceroy unilaterally declares India a belligerent in World War II, ending the period of autonomy.
In late 1939, Congress provincial ministries resign in protest against the unilateral war declaration. Gandhi launches the Quit India movement, delivering his famous Do or Die speech for British withdrawal. Bose reorganizes the Indian National Army, INA, in 1943 to liberate India through armed struggle. The 1945 Red Fort trials of INA officers provoke widespread public anger and nationalist mobilization. In February 1946, the Royal Indian Navy, RIN mutiny, signals that the colonial armed forces can no longer be relied upon. The 1946 Cabinet Mission proposes a 3-tier federal union to reconcile the Congress and the Muslim League. Nehru's 1946 statement that the Congress is unfettered by agreements leads to the collapse of the mission plan. Jinnah calls for Direct Action Day, precipitating a cycle of communal violence that renders a united India impossible. Mountbatten presents the June 3rd Plan, proposing to divide the subcontinent into 2 sovereign dominions. A boundary commission under Cyril Radcliffe is given only weeks to demarcate the new borders in Punjab and Bengal. The partition triggers a massive displacement of 12 million people and extreme communal violence. Patel and Menon lead the integration of over 560 princely states, defining the geography of modern South Asia.